This morning, I will tell you why it's a really bad idea to work with your girlfriend. My name is Joren Joshua. I'm a very unknown illustrator, but you might know me from some bigger walls here in Rotterdam, like this one. I can imagine when you heard about the team Love, you didn't expect maybe this lanky guy pretending to be cool a little bit to talk about love. I'm not really a lookalike of Hugh Grant, even I love his movies, but I'm here. Actually, Daniel didn't ask me to come alone. He asked me to come with Ilse, my girlfriend, who is also an illustrator, to come together to talk about being a couple and working together on projects. Maybe funny to know is that Ilse was like, yeah, hell no, I'm not gonna do that. And I was like, yeah, cool, let's do this. At that stage, I didn't know it was in English, so yeah, here I am, talking in English for the first time since I was in high school. So that's a big challenge. As I said, we're both illustrators working on our own companies on different studios, but sometimes we're collaborating on projects. And often I heard people asking, wow, that's quite difficult, or that's amazing you can work together with your girlfriend, or you're such a sweet couple, a real dream team. I could never ever work with my girlfriend or partner. Believe me, it's not always Romeo and Juliet. It can be really complicated, but still it's more easy than cooking together. That's pretty hard. So why is it actually a bad idea? First, we're both two different persons. We studied for years and years on a personal style, and we have our own way of thinking. So on the left you see my work, on the right Ilse. Of course it's a little bit similar, but my work's most of the time a little bit more complicated, a little bit more strange, more details. While Ilse's work is a little bit more graphic, really feel good, and a simple image. So from the moment we start on a project, we have to deal with two different kinds of people, opinions and thinking. So we have to deal with a lot of compromises. So sometimes that's quite hard. You see another difference. So the left is a wall of mine, on the right is Ilse. So it's a little bit different. So when we start with the process, when you have a commission, you always have to start from the beginning. And as I said, we have a different way of thinking. So in this spread, you see on the left page my way of thinking and sketching. On the right, Ilse's way. And where we start is always the hardest part, because you have to tackle the problems, come up with a great idea. And I'm always the one, when the email's coming in with the commission, like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and while I'm reading the email, I already have 10 ideas, and I draw completely incredible, difficult drawings nobody understands. And Ilse is always a little bit like overwhelmed by my happiness, and she's like, yeah, let's boil it for a day. So sometimes that's clashing, because I think, let's go for it, and she's like, okay, come on. So that's the first thing, what's complicated. The second thing is, beside working together, being a freelancer, both, can be also complicated. The work never seems divided equally. So that means sometimes the one is really busy and the other one is bored for already 4 days. And also, when are you free? when is a weekend, when we go on holiday, when we have holiday and a job is coming in, how to handle this. So also this is really hard. Also, our hobby, I don't like the word hobby, but our hobby is becoming our daily job. So when you're doing always this, we don't know what to do in our free time. So yeah, so sometimes what to do now? I used to go doing painting sessions with my friends, a little bit graffiti without ID, just painting for the fun. But when I introduced Ilse into this, she was like, oh, I really enjoy this, so I want to join. So now I have to share my friends, my spray cans, and I have to carry her bag, so quite hard. Maybe one of the hardest things of working together is being jealous. Sometimes a job is coming in, and because we're a little bit have the similar styles, we're also like concurrents. So sometimes when a job is coming, it suits to the both of us. In the beginning, when we start freelancing, Ilse was really busy from the first moment, and I had a lot of time. So it was sometimes really annoying, like, why do you get this job? It would be great if I do this. So that's like this. This example. This is just one of the last walls. Actually, one of the last commissions I had. It was my commission. A bookstore in Rotterdam asked me to draw a mural in their garden around the theme books and plants. So I was really happy going to Ilse, like, yeah, I have this job. And she was like, what? You never read books, you hate nature? Which actually that's not true, but she was like, this is a perfect commission for me, I want to join in this. And I was like, yeah, okay, keeping the peace, okay, it's okay. we can do it together. And so I had to split the money after all. Also a little bit annoying sometimes by working together is like people don't recognize your own hand. Like my mom is one of my biggest fans, but also biggest critics. And sometimes I show a picture and she's like, yeah, I really don't see which part is yours. And I really hate that because I think now there's a lot of difference. So to check on the left, it's my part. You can see it by the hands. The hands are most of the time twice as big. I use a little bit more details and more lines in the work, while Ilse is a little bit more graphic, more straight lines. But now you know. Yeah, why I am here, not to talk about all the negative things. Today it's to talk about love, of course. So to start from the beginning, how we met. Not by Tinder. I'm from a time there was no Tinder when you need to find a girl. We were both studying in illustration at St. Joe's, but both in different cities. So I was studying in Breda, Ilse in Den Bosch. And I think we both missed a little bit a kind of competition in our class. It was not like my class was not good, but I missed someone who was a little bit in the same genre. So I was a little bit in the graffiti thing, while classmates more were in comics and children things. So sometimes I lost a little bit my motivation. So it was the same for Ilse. In the intern period, we were both invited to join a poster competition. I won this competition. It's the last time I won anything from Ilse, but I keep this in my mind. But that was the first time we saw each other, and I think the work was a way to start a conversation. So it was like, oh, your work is beautiful. Ilse was doing typography, so I thought, oh, that's quite cool for a girl. So that was my first sweet move. And we did a poster exchange, not from the competition, another one. But From that moment, Ilse came up with the brilliant idea to paint our wall white on a room during the first date. So there is where it all starts. I think the first collaboration was try to fix my final school project. I was all the time crying under the table. I don't want to do this. I hate school. I'm gonna quit. They don't understand me. And Ilse was writing my paper and helping me out, photoshopping everything. So that was perfect. And I think in this period we influenced each other a lot. Like I was, what I said, doing this graffiti, already working big, but most of the time way detailed. While Ilse was making really tiny drawings, but quite simple. So actually great to paint on larger scale. So like that was Ilse's work in that time. And I actually learned her way of working. So when we met, I was doing this already, using long arms, long legs, but still using way too much details. This was one of my final school drawings. So it became already a little bit more graphic. And this is after school. So way more graphic, less details. Yeah, sure, sorry. Can you hear it in the back? Yeah, okay, great. So after all, I stole her style a little bit, but that makes it way more easier to work together, right? So after all, I did a good job. So yeah, what are actually the pros of working together? I think one of the main things is, for me, is like you can motivate each other and reflect on each other's work. Like when I'm working on my own work, I can really lose myself in the sketching process. Sometimes it's like a never-ending story. So I put a lot of time focusing on the perfect, imperfect postures. But it's for me really hard to say, okay, this is it. So sometimes it's great when Ilse comes and say, yeah, that's a really good drawing. Just start on that, focus on that. The second thing is like illustration can be really lonely. All the time you're focusing on your personal things, working on your own style. A lot of people have their own studio or working just at home. And actually, I don't like that part of illustration. I'm quite a social guy. In Dutch, it's a word gezelligheid. A lot of tourists know the word also. But yeah, I don't like to be alone. I think a social environment is for me really, really important. So things doing together is just way more great sometimes. Now I have to think a little. Oh yeah, so one of the coolest things is when you work together, the end result can be way more surprising. Because when you start for yourselves, you know a little bit how things end up. But when you have to mix different styles, something can be come out completely the opposite of what you expected. So here, this is about a screen print we worked on together. And it was for a hip-hop party. We made a lottery, and at the end of the lottery you could win the jackpot. And the jackpot was the screen print. So the theme of the print was also jackpot. So we thought a little bit hip-hop, rich people, just some cliches. So how do we handle this process? When we start, I said I'm always like really enthusiastic and happy all the time, so we start separated. So we know the theme and everyone starts sketching in his own spot. And we make different compositions. Ilse always makes way more clear compositions than me, so she's on the top, I'm on the bottom. Then we come back together and we make a mix from each other's compositions, or we just choose one, we discuss it a little. And then we start working on the characters. We always split this, like we have the same amount of characters. This is really important, so we still have our own parts in the poster. We trace them, so all the time it's still drawn by hand. And then become digital. So we put it back in the composition, and then we start coloring it. Ilse is the one with the most Photoshop skills, so she's actually doing all the computer work, and I'm sitting next to her saying, yeah, you can make this yellow, you can make this black. So the end result was actually like a big surprise for us, like, whoa, it's like a completely new thing. So sometimes I compare it a little to we're having our own spice, and if you mix it, you get a new flavor. So it feels like we're having a second style, actually. So that's quite cool. Also about the gezelligheid thing is going on adventure with each other is also way more cool. Like if you're going on holiday with someone else, at the end of the holiday you can share the memories, in our case an end result. So you have something to look back up. So like watching holiday pictures together is way more fun than just showing to friends, like I was on holiday, I was here and here. So like this one, this was our biggest adventure together, painting 2 silos in Denmark. And yeah, it was really cool because big murals are like a big thing. So it's nice when you work with 2 people, you can really work as a team. So we both have our own tasks. So we made a illustration on the left, that's the digital one, and we make a grid on it. And when we start, it's always like that. Ilse is navigating me through the grid, so she's actually reading it, and me with my extremely long arms sketching up the line. So it's like she says, yeah, just start here and you have to end up there. So I'm like, well, okay. So in that case, we can work quite fast. So like we sketch this in 1 day. And then the coloring part starts. So I'm the rough guy doing the big parts, and Ilse is more the fine girl doing all the edges, some smaller details. And I do the higher parts. We came there and we start on the first day, and Ilse was like, they were 12 meters high, and at 8 meters he said, no, that's too high for me. So I was like, yeah, come on, we have 2 silos. So, okay, I do the top. This, but I think for me, or for us, the key of working together sometimes is because we focus most of the time on our personal projects. So I want to give you a little insight in my own illustrations. I really like actually to observe people, and how people move is one of the main things in my work. So you maybe noticed already I'm all the time moving like this. That's my nature, I'm not nervous at all. That is just in my soul. And I think this is coming back all the time in my drawings. I actually try to reflect on daily situations. So I also really enjoy to watch dancing movies, clips from Justin Timberlake, breakdance battles. And yeah, I think, I also really like beer, love beer. The team is love. So I can go to a bar and actually still working, because I'm all the time looking around what people doing, how they act stupid. And I'm always start breakdance battles when I'm drunk, so I act stupid too. So after all my drawings are actually a kind of self-portraits, after all, I think. Yeah. the sadness of someone who's walking home, completely lost, finding his home. So, but still, after a day working on my personal projects or my own jobs, I'm always really happy to come home and yeah, thinking about I have someone who understands what I'm doing, and actually I'm already looking forward to a new collaboration together with Ilse, doing a romantic dinner. And thank you.